And good morning. It is Glenn Clark Radio, a Thursday edition of the program. Sorry we were running a second late this morning. A small technical fire we had to put out, but all good. Looks like we are a bit overmodulated. I don't know if that's just because we haven't gotten the sound. We'll figure that out. We'll figure everything out. I hope. I pray we'll figure it out. I know we had a lot of sound issues yesterday. I apologize. That's not the issue, but that's an issue too, that you could hear something coming from my computer. So my sincere apologies. Apparently the commercials were almost inaudible yesterday, which you probably don't care about listening at home, but we do because, you know, those people pay our bills, so it's important we do better for that, and we just had an issue yesterday. There's a lot of internal stuff. We're moving. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you guys yet. We're moving to a new studio. We're very excited about it. But things are kind of a mess in the meantime. A lot of makeshift stuff happening as we try to figure out how we do this, how this process of moving works. And it's not easy because, you know, it's not easy. And at some point I'm going to be telling you, hey, I won't be with you on Monday because we're going to need a little bit of time just totally off. I mentioned that a couple times this summer. In order to finalize this move, there's just no way around it. There are some alternatives that we get. It's just not, it's too much. So there'll be a small amount of time that I'll just simply be off during the course of the summer, and then we'll be back, and we'll be in a new place. And who knows, maybe we'll have even fixed some of our problems. Probably not, but, you know, a girl can dream. Can we not? Can we just dream that we'll get all of the problems fixed? That would be really swell. So that's what's going on. Today, we'll talk some sports, novel concept. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Carson's here, too. Carson, lean in. You can lean in and say, yeah, hi, there's Carson. Carson, today, we're having him learn how to run the board in perfect time for us to move and have everything change. But we always, when we have interns, we try to get them to learn a little bit about everything we do. And so, Carson, you also need to learn how to put out fires. That's important. I don't know how your fire extinguisher skills are, but I would get them sharpened before you move into a role capacity like this. All right.
I'd say right now there's something.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Good. Probably related to the cord, as I had to guess. Good. We there, Carson? You still there? Nope. Nope. We're not. I don't know what happened. Here. Let me see that. God damn it. Everything was going fine. Everything was just fine. So, let me make sure. Hello. Yeah, that's
good. There we go.
We're good now.
Carson is here today.
God.
Good morning.
None of this stuff happened. No, that's not true, actually. We had stuff like this happen all the time. All right. Let's get into it. Orioles lose last night 7-6. Look, It was a wild night. Adley Rutschman hits his first home run. That's very exciting. Ryan Mountcastle hits a couple of home runs. The Orioles overcome another brutal start from Bruce Zimmerman. Save that. We'll discuss it. And they make it interesting. They force extra innings. It's a thriller. This goes back to many of the things we said about the Orioles this season, that they are far more competitive. Even when they're not winning, they are far more competitive than we necessarily expected them to be coming into the year. And those are all pleasant things. And perhaps a reflection on Brandon Hyde and whether or not he should be able to stick around. And, you know, whatever it is that you want to say, all pleasant. Last night, what was unpleasant was we finally felt like we kind of got to a breaking point with Bruce Zimmerman. And that's a bummer for a few reasons. The biggest one being that, you know, he's one of ours. His story is better than other stories. Like, if you told me coming into the year, either Bruce Zimmerman could prove himself to be a major league pitcher or Tyler Wells could prove himself to be a major league pitcher, selfishly, I'd root for Bruce Zimmerman because he's one of our own. It's a better story. It's more exciting. It's more meaningful. It's all of those things. That's what you want. And then it was happening. For the first month of the season, we were all convinced Bruce Zimmerman was proving himself to be a major league pitcher. And now the argument is, can you even let him have another start? And I got to be honest with you, I'm in the camp that says probably not. Now, the flip side argument that is, okay, well, who's starting instead? And there is no good option. I mean, there just isn't. If you could, this is where it would have been nice to have a healthy Grayson Rodriguez, right? Like, this was an obvious spot. It's probably a bit aggressive to try to do this with DL Hall right now. Could you do it for the sake of doing it? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not. DL Hall hasn't dominated that level in a way where it is most certain that he needs to be here right now. One of the things people always talk about is, well, you don't want to have somebody get caught up too early because if they struggle, then it could really set them back for a long time. I've said almost the exact opposite over the years, which is if that's what wrecks you, you probably aren't the guy we think you are. Everybody struggles. If experiencing a little bit of struggles is what wrecks you, I don't know. You might not be the guy. But I still think someone should. I don't think that DL Hall's arrival in Baltimore should correlate with Bruce Zimmerman not being good enough. I've said all along, I think these guys should be here when they're ready. When they've checked the developmental boxes that they needed to check. When they accomplished the things the organization wanted to see them accomplish. That's when I think they should be in Baltimore, not because we don't want to watch Bruce Zimmerman pitch again. And I get it. We don't. But I'm not ready to make some sort of dramatic statement and demand DL Hall be here simply because Bruce Zimmerman is struggling. Let me just, for the sake of it, the numbers. Bruce Zimmerman, of course, again, got off. It just is so heartbreaking. He got off to a legitimate start, and you really believed that like there was something there, and he was gonna be a guy, and it just didn't. It just didn't prove to be the case. For April, Bruce Zimmerman, in 4 starts, 2.33 ERA, 1.29 WHIP. I mean, the WHIP not great, but good enough. The results were very good. Then in May, 6 starts, 5.85 ERA. And obviously through 3 starts in June, just sort of an unmitigated disaster. 3 starts, 10.8 ERA, 2.07 WHIP.
There's like 31 hits in 15 innings.
Not great. Not great. Hey, but for what it's worth, he hasn't walked anybody in June. So he's got that going for him. Look, I hear you. I probably don't need to see Bruce Zimmerman pitch again in 5 days either. I don't really know that would end up. I'm in this weird place with the Orioles where unless I think there's definitely a better option, I'm also not really sure how much it hurts. This is the thing that we always have to keep reminding ourselves. It's not about this season. And I get it. You don't just want to keep putting someone else out there who can't do it. I understand that. But you're going to have to sell me on who can when you make that decision.
Yeah, because he's at least going like 4 2/3 almost every start. I mean,
yeah,
he's getting completely killed.
Some of that they're forcing.
Letting up 3 or 4 home runs. But I mean, if he's going to eat innings, that's what you want this season.
Yeah, but he's not really eating innings. He's getting a few. He's not eating innings. That would not be the right way to describe it. DL Hall, his last time out, went 4 2/3. Gave up 3 runs, only 1 earned, 4 hits, 3 walks. DL Hall has not necessarily dominated or overwhelmed at the AAA level. He is pitching to a 4.78 ERA in 7 starts this season, 1.329 WHIP. None of that screams guy who needs to be here in any way, which doesn't mean he couldn't. And obviously, we all think DL Hall is remarkably talented. But none of that says that guy needs to make the start. That guy needs to be there immediately. Why are we continuing to let Bruce Zimmerman, DL Hall's ready to go? No, that's not the case. Could you just bullpen the next Bruce Zimmerman start if you wanted to? I guess you could. Ultimately, will that end up being Matt Harvey's spot in the rotation at some point? Probably. I know that doesn't get anybody excited at all. Probably makes you quite frustrated. But that's the reality. Matt Harvey's here to pitch. They didn't sign him to not have him pitch. They certainly didn't sign him because it was a feel-good story.
It can be Zimmerman, Brian Baker, and Harvey Day. Just to eat a day.
Well, I mean,
get through a game.
I don't even think they would worry about it. They would just say
we're just gonna know that's a loss.
No, when Matt Harvey's here, they're just gonna say, dude, it's your job. You go out, you pitch 6 innings. If you give up 12 runs, that's the end of it. You're here to pitch 6 innings. That's why Matt Harvey is an Oriole. It is what it is. I can't get too worked up about it because I have to remind myself, as much fun as it is sometimes to watch the Orioles play, and as much as I keep using the word pleasant, it's still not about the results. We're still not there. Now, it might be for Brandon Hyde. It might ultimately be that Brandon Hyde's future is dependent upon results. And I don't know what that's like internally. I don't know what conversations he's having. And is he saying, privately, dude, I don't want to throw this guy out there for another start. If you're measuring me on what this team does this season and my future is in any way tied to it, I don't want to keep throwing Bruce Zimmerman out there. That's not fair to me. I have no idea what those internal conversations are like. I couldn't possibly tell you. But I do think it matters. Carson, it feels like you really want to say something. You keep going to grab the microphone. I thought, I keep thinking Carson's got some amazing thing he's going to drop in. I get it. It's difficult when you're holding your microphone instead of having it in front of you. I swear to God, Carson does this. I don't know, for those of you that are, I don't know if you can see. So Carson will have the microphone down here. And then every now and then, he'll start this sort of herky-jerky motion. And I don't want to be the guy that, prevents if somebody's got something dynamite to say, just an absolutely wonderful tip-in to say, hey, man, you don't realize this. I've got this unbelievable statistic. Then I want him to be able to jump in. So I'm going to pause. I'm seeing his hand come up. Here we go. Right?
I was just going to say that I think...
Here's Glenn going, all right, so we could do this. And all of a sudden I look over and I'm like,
Anyway, I think really one of the concerns too with DL Hall is that the longevity of the starts is, I don't think it's what they want to see right now. I don't know that he's really going deep into ball games the way that maybe
right, but I don't know that
when
when you're ready to have DL Hall come up, I don't know that the first priority is that he's got to work 6-7 innings. Yeah. I think the first priority is just that you got to be comfortable with him getting major league hitters out, and whenever he comes up, if he works for 5 innings, he works for 5 innings. But he's not pitching in a way that suggests that he's ready to come up.
Sure thing.
He's not. No matter how many innings it is, he's not pitching well enough that you say he needs to be here right now. Are there other options? Are there other, that's the other question is, could you just send somebody else up for the sake of sending somebody else up? And the answer is almost always, yeah, you could. Spencer Watkins could come back into the rotation for the sake of Spencer Watkins coming back into the rotation. He didn't get off to he had a couple really good starts at the beginning of the season, including the start against the Angels. That was misleading. It didn't stay like that for Spencer Watkins, but if you've just gotten to a breaking point with Bruce Zimmerman where you say we can't just keep doing this, could you just do that because it's something different? Sure. Could Denji Reyes end up I think he pitched last night, if I remember correctly. I don't think he pitched well last night, but I think he pitched last night. Could he end up being the guy? Sure. If you just want to do something different, you can just do something different. That's fine. I don't know how much different it's going to be results-wise than what you're getting from Bruce Zimmerman. This is the problem. The pitching ain't there. There's a reason why I keep saying we got to talk about signing pitching this offseason. The pitching ain't there. No matter how badly we want it to be, or no matter how badly we're encouraged by other things related to the Orioles, the pitching ain't there. And we hope that we hope that Bruce Zimmerman's better than this, sure. We hope that Grayson Rodriguez comes back from this injury and is ready to be a Major League pitcher next season, a quality Major League pitcher next season. We hope that John Means can return to being a quality Major League pitcher next season. We hope that DL Hall will be more confident as the year goes on, and he too could be a quality Major League pitcher. But that is a lot of hope and vibes. We're running all on vibes right now. Practically, short of Tyler Wells continuing to pitch really well all season long, there will not be one pitcher that you can have full confidence in going into the next season as being a legitimate quality Major League pitcher. Not one. It's why I harp on it. It's why I'm concerned about the effects of the lawsuit. They have to sign pitching if they want to move into the next phase of this. If they want there to be a better chance at competition, it's going to have to come from the outside. They're going to have to sign a pitcher. They don't have a choice. I say they don't have a choice. I guess they have a choice. They could just not do it. And again, they could live on vibes and hope for the best from all three of these dudes next season. And again, maybe Tyler Wells will continue to pitch like this all year long, and all of a sudden at the end of the year, we feel like Tyler Wells is a guy that you can count on. You want to take Bruce Zimmerman out of the rotation? Sure. Take him out of the rotation. To do what? I don't know. But do it for the funsies of it. Orioles will wrap up their series with the Blue Jays this afternoon, 3 o'clock game, and an old friend, Kevin Gausman, is on the mound for Toronto, facing the aforementioned Tyler Wells for the Orioles as they close out that 4-game set before returning back home. Today's show brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. 61 self-service kiosks in the FanDuel Sportsbook. It is the place to be for Game 6 tonight, and if there's a Game 7 on Sunday night, you're going to want to be there getting your bets in. You're going to want to be there enjoying the delicious food at Sports and Social, the incredible atmosphere for these big games in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. To reserve your spot, you and your friends, maybe colleagues, folks from work, you want to make a night out of it, go win some money. You want to reserve a table. You want to reserve a section of reclining chairs in the FanDuel Sportsbook. Well, email events@sportssocialmd.com for Game 6 tonight, Game 7 on Sunday. Of course, the U.S. Open all weekend as well. Stanley Cup Final, Game 2 on Saturday. Whatever it is, you want to come out, enjoy it in the FanDuel Sportsbook. Email events@sportssocialmd.com. And speaking of the NBA Finals, they do indeed continue tonight and perhaps will wrap up tonight. Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Back in Boston, Celtics trying to force a Game 7, Warriors trying to close it out. Joining us now to talk more about it, she is a friend of ours, former Coppin State standout, NBATV, Turner, TNT. You see her all over the place. She's our friend Stephanie Reddy, and she's back with us now here on GCR. Stephanie, it's Glenn in Baltimore. Always good to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. How's it going?
Everything is going well. Weird night the other night, right? Like, I don't think we can quite put our finger on what is going on. Like, I think there's a lot of people that have wondered if the Celtics were still hungover from kind of the way they blew things in Game 4, if maybe a team without as much experience this deep into the postseason is starting to hit a wall. I don't know what to make of the fact that they just really didn't have any answers, and obviously it was particularly noticeable considering how poorly Steph Curry played that they couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things, when you're at this point in the season where you're down to the finals and it's the last 2 teams, unless a sweep happens, you pretty much expect, at least I do, that there's going to be a lot of seesawing, right? There's going to be a lot of back and forth. Of course, I think home court does matter, and I think experience matters. I think the Celtics have done an extraordinary job galvanizing their group, all getting on the same page with head coach Ime Udoka. He's done a terrific job of coaching this team, having them prepared, strategizing. But experience does matter. You know, I mean, the Warriors, at least their core group, Stephen Curry, Clay, Draymond, Coach Kerr, they know what it takes to win a championship. It's almost like both of my kids play softball and baseball. They're younger. And they're learning now how to push themselves beyond where they thought they could. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I remember the first time I threw up when I was running.
Okay.
And I thought, oh my God, I'm done. I'm sick, right? I think I was a freshman in high school or sophomore in high school. And I remember vividly this day, because I tell this story to my kids all the time.
Ironically, Stephanie, this is what happens to me every time I run, for the record. Just
so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It's not great. Not ideal.
So I throw up in the trash can. I think I'm done for the day, right? Because now I'm sick. Oh, coach, I'm sick. I've run too much. And then coach was like, get on the line. You know what I mean? Like, I threw up, so now the hard part's over. I got sick already.
Right.
And then I hated to get back on the line, but I did more sprints, and I finally understood, like, oh, wow. Like, my body is a machine. It will go further than I thought it could. My point in telling this long roundabout story is that the Warriors know what it takes. They know how to push themselves more than they thought was even possible. And the Celtics are still learning that, right? It's a process.
I hear you. I guess the weird part would be the guy that's coming through, you know, certainly in Game 5 for the Warriors was the guy that doesn't have any experience, right?
I know. I know, but he's with the group.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're, like, teaching him what it takes. And I think he even talked about that, right? Like, being around them, he's learned what it takes. And Coach Kerr, he's the captain of the ship. You know, he knows what to do. He knows what levers to pull. We've seen this throughout the series, right? Who comes in, who comes out, when, how he's doing it. Draymond's not playing great, so I'm going to take him out. But I know for sure I need him now, so let's put him back in. Like, no problem. No pouting faces on the sideline. Nobody's complaining because they all just want to win. And believe me, I'm not saying Boston doesn't want to win. I think that they are an awesome team. I just think that sometimes, not every single time, but I think sometimes experience really it becomes the determining factor.
She is Stephanie Reddy from NBATV TNT. She's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio as we're previewing Game 6. Stephanie, how do you explain the Wiggins thing? Like, is it just that he's been able to take advantage of the fact that there is so much that you have to pay attention to with the Warriors, so there's an opening there for him? Is he truly a different player than what we saw in a guy that so many people were ready to label a bust as being a former number 1 pick?
Yeah, I think part of it is the attention that's required when you play the Golden State Warriors because they have so many weapons. It's almost like what we see with Poole too. They have so many weapons. Your defense has got to pick and choose what you will allow to happen. So I think he certainly benefits from that, but I think he's just a hell of a player. I mean, we forget he was an all-star this year. He's always been really, really talented, but people just weren't sure if he was, here's a list. Was he tough enough? Did he have enough heart? Did he work hard? Did he want it? All those things, right? Well, he's checking all those boxes now. And I think it's not just, yes, there's a lot of weapons. It is, I am a really good player. And because I have been in this system with this team for this season, I know how to exploit that. Because just because people are paying attention to others doesn't mean you're going to score. I mean, look at Draymond Green. He's not going to score a ton, right? I think he's just evolved into a really strong player. And I will say this, and this is across all sports and across all genres and industries, confidence matters. I don't care how talented you are, how intelligent you are. If you lack in self-confidence, you will not perform your best, period. And I think they have boosted him up this season, and so his confidence is at an all-time high. So all of those things are just falling in line for Wiggins this season.
It's so inexplicable for a guy that hadn't had more than 11 rebounds in a game to go 16-13 the last. It's just like, how do you possibly explain him suddenly becoming this guy. And that's where like all of a sudden you look around and say, well, if they're going to do all this, like there is that opportunity. There's this chance for me to win it. He's the guy that's never won a championship, right? Like to suddenly, yeah, and it just very much comes off as like, this is my moment. I just have to go assert myself. It's there for the taking. And it's really remarkable. There's no doubt about it. Is there any world, if the Warriors win tonight, Steph Curry's still the MVP, right? Like even I don't think it's reasonable to even think of a world where he struggles like he did in Game 5 because we've never seen that before from Steph Curry, right? But my God, he was so overwhelmingly good through those first 4 games that he's got to be the MVP no matter what, right?
Yeah, I fully believe that. And here's the other thing. It's voted on, and I think that no matter how much we try to be unbiased and purely objective and not subjective, we are all still human. So there is a human element to the voting process. I had a vote for all of the postseason awards, and I got to tell you, that might have been the hardest part of it. It was a tight race with so many situations. You have to really take out your personal opinion of these people, right? Because that's not really fair.
Right.
But it happens. And so now when you're talking about the MVP, not only is Stephen Curry easy to love and root for, let's not forget the time where people thought he should have won the Finals MVP and he did not get it. So I think there is no question in my mind he's going to get it if they win it this year.
I think that I mean, it's not even, to me, it would make sense if it was sort of like a career achievement thing, like, hey, man, we got to make sure we get you one. But my God, they're not in this series. They don't have a chance without the unbelievable greatness of Stephen Curry. I don't even think it's about like all the. I just think he deserves it. That's the way that it goes because they could have been swept. Like they could have been in the first 4 games had it not been for how great Stephen Curry was. So what's the roadmap for Boston, right? Like what is the roadmap for the Celtics to be able to get through this tonight and force a Game 7 on Sunday, Steph?
They have got to get back to basic fundamental basketball. And by that, I mean moving the ball around, making the Warriors work harder on defense because the Celtics are bigger. I mean, that's been their advantage this entire playoff series. That's all you heard their opponents talking about every single round was how big and long and athletic this team was. And that's why it was so difficult to score against them. Well, they have to use that same advantage on the offensive end, too. So you do that not by creating isolations, but by moving the ball around. So I think if they can get back to their basics, the fundamentals of the game, that's their easiest path. And that's the easiest way to play basketball anyway, because you're exerting less energy on the offensive end, and you have it to play tougher defense, and that's where they also excel.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, and I guess the question becomes: is there another level still for Jason Tatum? Right, like that he did not. He just sort of looked like he was done the other night, and I kept thinking that at some point during the course of the series, there was still a Jason Tatum. He was so good and such a burgeoning superstar, but you just haven't. It's not as if he's played poorly in these games. We just haven't seen sort of that next level from Jason Tatum that we had seen earlier in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't played great.
Right.
And I think that's what we've come to expect from him. It's a tricky one because you don't want him to be in a situation where he's trying to force it because then that's, in my opinion, a recipe for disaster. Then you're getting back to the isolations, and that's not going to help them. But you do want him to be assertive.
Right.
And maybe you stress to him to be assertive and aggressive on the defensive end, forcing turnovers, getting rebounds, getting deflections, making the offense easier so that becomes just a natural flow. You know, I mean, I think he has it in him. I don't think he's hit a wall. I think it's just he's going to have to regroup. And I do think we will see the great Jason Tatum. I mean, let's face it. It's now or never. Like this. This is it.
Yep.
This is what we played for. This is what we worked for, right? If you're in that locker room, this is it. Everything's on the table. You can't leave anything. So I'm pretty certain we'll see the great Jason Tatum show up.
You have any sort of? I mean, like I keep saying I can't write off the Celtics, right? Like as bad as it's been for the most of the last 5 quarters, other than that little burst there in the third quarter of Game 5, for as bad as it's been, they've answered the bell too many times for me to think that they don't at least have it in them that they're going to roll over tonight. I can't fathom that. If the Warriors win, the Warriors probably win because they play unbelievably well and magical Steph Curry. I just can't fathom the Celtics not answering the bell tonight.
I agree, especially because they understand, and they've understood this really for the last several months, even a couple of months leading into the playoffs, that defense was how they were going to win.
Yep.
So I totally agree with you. I think you're going to see a rejuvenated Celtics defensive effort tonight. I think they are going to, obviously the Warriors are really good offensively, but I think you're going to see Boston step it up. They understand what's at stake. They understand how much they've put into this. And if defense has been your calling card this entire season into the playoffs, and that's what's really gotten you to advance, I think we're going to see that happen tonight.
At Stephanie Reddy on Twitter, as always, is how you follow her. Stephanie, is there anything I can plug for you where people might be seeing you, anything like that?
No, we've got, for NBA TV, we have been doing this series called NBA Finals Film Room, where we break down the previous night's finals game with coaches. So I will be doing that tomorrow for tonight's game. So that'll be on NBA TV tomorrow night.
Awesome. Very good. Stephanie, I'm imagining it's probably it for us. You've always been so good with us over the years. I love how much you care about this town and your time here. So always appreciate you every basketball season taking time for us. May you enjoy a little bit of off season. May you enjoy, you and your kids, maybe like letting it wind down even slightly, even if just for a couple of weeks before the grind picks back up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Stephanie Reddy from TNT NBA TV checking in with us here on GCR again ahead of Game 6 tonight, 9 o'clock in Boston between the Warriors and the Celtics. Apparently, it's quite the day for the folks in Boston because the U.S. Open is underway right now at Brookline, and then the Red Sox play this afternoon and the Celtics play tonight, and there's a lot made about folks trying to pull off all three, do like the trifecta of Boston events today. I don't much like Boston, so I don't. There's that. There is that. We're hoping it's a very special day here in Baltimore. Tonight, 5 o'clock, we will find out. It's when the show airs. I don't know when during the hour we'll officially get the announcement. But we will find out definitively whether or not Baltimore will be a host city for the 2026 World Cup. We will get that definitive announcement tonight. I know there's a public event at Abbey Burger that the host committee is sponsoring. I think they might have something else that they're doing tonight. I don't know if that's something we can touch. There's just a lot going on. It's a very exciting day and could be truly, I don't know, Baltimore, of course, has hosted the World Series by virtue of being in the World Series. It's been a very long time. There have been other, the Preakness is a major, major event every year. It's one of the most significant sporting events on the calendar every year. But this is just another level. This is unlike anything that we've ever seen in this city. So this is a really significant day if it works out that way. And look,
I think it's a very good chance because they want one like in the Washington area. And FedEx Field is.
Well, no. I mean, that's so. This is where Griffin always. There is no option that if Washington and Baltimore have the same bid, it's the same bid. If they select Washington, they're selecting Baltimore. If they're selecting Baltimore, they're selecting Washington. There will be no games in Washington. Washington gave that up because they realized nobody was going to put a World Cup match at FedEx Field. It's a joke. So Washington's bid is essentially, you guys get the games. We'll put a big watch party out on the National Mall. We'll host these other sort of shoulder events where you guys get the actual matches, which I would say best case scenario. Personally, for me, I don't I'm never going to be the guy that goes and stands in a park and watches. It's just I'm too old for that. When I was a younger man, I was. It sounded great, right? I believe in trying to establish Baltimore as a World Cup city. Once upon a time, I'm trying to remember which year this would have been. I guess this probably would have been 2010. There was a public viewing event at the Harbor for the final of the World Cup, and there was a lot made about, hey, come out, we're trying to establish Baltimore as a World Cup city. Come out and support it. And I was 27 at the time, so I'm like, all right, I'll do that. Like, I'll come out. I think, in fact, we did one in Towson that year for one of the U.S. matches. We're trying to make big watch party events. In 2026, I'm going to be 43. There is no chance that I will be gathering in a park when I could simply watch the match at home. That's just not going to occur for me. But I'll go. I've already said I will spend whatever I just spent on Paul McCartney, I'll definitely end up spending the exact same thing to be able to experience the World Cup in my hometown. That is overwhelming. Will it be a U.S. match? That would be maybe an upset at this point if it would work out that way. But, God, it would be unbelievable, right? It would just be so bloody cool. I would be excited about Italy, but Italy doesn't make the World Cup anymore. Just a weird bit the Italians started doing where they were like, World Cup? What is that? We're Euro guys over here. Which is lovely, too, don't get me wrong. It's a nice tournament to win, but I would, not that I'm an expert, I would probably try to mix in winning the World Cup or at least, qualifying for the World Cup every now and then. That would be a swell thing to do. Whatever it'll end up being, we're going to get the announcement tonight, and if the Baltimore-Washington bid is selected, it kind of immediately becomes the biggest event ever in the history of our city. I mean, even if it's like a Cameroon-Chile match. And by the way, we won't know because they can't announce tonight who's playing in the match because nobody's qualified for the 2026 World Cup yet. So we won't find that part of it out for some time. It won't be until like 2025, likely, when we even have a feel for who it might be. The only thing we could... I imagine they'll announce tonight who's hosting knockout round. I mean, they'll almost certainly announce who's hosting the final. I assume they'll announce who's hosting knockout round matches. So, learning that would be a big deal. If Baltimore were to get a knockout round match, that would be a really big deal. And I'm saying I assume. I actually don't know that. It would make sense to me if they at least announce final semifinals, hosting locations. I don't know why you wouldn't just go ahead and announce who's hosting all the knockout round matches, but maybe they don't do that. Believe it or not, we've never been in this spot before, so I don't have a lot of precedent to fall back on in knowing how this thing goes, this show tonight. We'll talk more about it when we get to Totally Tubular, but we will find out 5 o'clock tonight or in the 5 o'clock hour whether or not Baltimore will host matches in the 2026 World Cup. And the other thing, too, that I don't know if everybody knows about is the impact. It's not just the matches, and clearly that has a huge impact and an economic boost from people coming in. The best part is that the infrastructure is already in place. And this is the thing that people complain about, like, hey, it's not actually a boon to be the host of, the Olympics because you have to build all of this infrastructure and there's nothing else to use it for. And so we've seen the scenes of other Olympic host cities and these stadiums becoming decrepit and eyesores and huge economic losses for these cities. The infrastructure is all here. There's the stadium and then the training facilities, and essentially the training facilities are all the local colleges. The local colleges are all involved with this, and it's all very beneficial for them too. That they step up and say, whether it's Towson or UMBC or Loyola or Stevenson or Johns Hopkins or whoever it is, Navy, Maryland, they all step up and they say, yeah, you can come train here. And the infrastructure is in place. You don't need to build anything. I mean, there might be little things they do in order to try to spruce up the heart, and that would be nice. I think we would all agree that we'd like that. Sprucing up is a good thing. We're all in favor of that, but the infrastructure is all in place. Oh boy, it would be just a wonderful, wonderful day for our city if we get that good news.
Yeah, this is billions with a B in terms of viewers for this? This is a huge event.
Well, the event as a whole is billions. Not every match gets billions of viewers.
Compared to like other big sporting events, the World Series and such, maybe the Super Bowl tops it, but this is one of the
the World Cup as a whole, yes, and the World Cup Final or whatever you want to say. I don't know that if it ends up being Azerbaijan taking on, Costa Rica, that's not. But still.
The concept is fantastic.
And the economic benefit of hosting any World Cup match is overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
Tourism dollars. Hope for good news. That's all. Hope for good news. All right, today's show also brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour, which is back tonight. Stan and Gary will chat with our friend Drew Forrester as they'll be talking U.S. Open this evening and Live Golf and all that sort of stuff. You'll be able to watch it live, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can find it tomorrow at PressBoxOnline.com/video or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. And if you missed it earlier in the week, a neat conversation with Jeff Idelson and Gene Fruth that Stan and Ross Grimsley were able to have. We come back in. We got to, I never even previewed the show. I just realized that Noel Acton's going to join us. Noel Acton is an amazing story. The NHL's Willie O'Ree Community Award winner. If you're not familiar with the story of the Baltimore Banners and what Noel Acton has done in our city to try to give opportunities to young folks to do something positive athletically, it's really remarkable, and we figured it was fitting timing with the Stanley Cup Final underway to reach out and chat with him about being the Willie O'Ree Community Award winner. So we'll talk to Noel Acton here in a bit. We got to do Young Yutes today, see what Carson has in store for us. That's all coming up here on a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Come in for Glory Burgers, Glory Wings. There's glory for everyone at Glory Days Grill. Enjoy our award-winning burgers, ribs, and wings, or try our fresh salads, hand-cut salmon, or our scrumptious sandwiches. Yum! Come in for our daily specials every weekday, like $7.99 burgers on Mondays and $6.99 nachos on Thursdays. Dine in and let us serve you, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and take it home. Visit us at glorydaysgrill.com for a location near you. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Are you ready, soccer fans? This summer, the English Premier League returns to Baltimore. Arsenal, Everton, square off in the Charm City match, July 16th, under the lights at M&T Bank Stadium, home of the Baltimore Ravens. This is your only opportunity to take in a Premier League match this summer in the Mid-Atlantic region. Individual and group tickets are on sale at BaltimoreRavens.com.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now, and it's our very first Salute the Coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season. Inside, tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niumatalolo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Karinji, Maryland soccer coach Sasho Sorovsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Pierce. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl with stories from the players who these coaches have impacted most over the years. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Today's show. You know what? Actually, hang on. I saved that thought. Quickly, U.S. Open update. Collin Morikawa tied for the lead very early on. Not even everybody has teed off yet, but Collin Morikawa 3 under, along with Matthew Nesmith or Naismith, and yes, I totally know who that is. Definitely somebody I'm familiar with. Rory McIlroy just a shot back among a few golfers at 2 under. Again, very early on at the U.S. Open. That's what's going on there. So, yeah, Orioles wrap a busy day. U.S. Open, Orioles wrap up their series, the World Cup announcement, and then it kind of all times out to be quite. Although there's that, like, danger of the Orioles, like, being locked up in a really exciting game at 5 o'clock when the World Cup announcement starts. I guess there's a bit of a danger of that. But for the most part, it's spread out pretty nicely. You can watch some of the U.S. Open, and then the Orioles at 3.
The solution is just more screens.
I mean that's the way that's the way you got to live 100%. You got to live that. Like somebody, I said that to somebody recently. I'm like, I couldn't tell you when the last time I watched something with my undivided attention was. I have no clue when that would be. It's just not an option. That's not the way things go. All right, why don't we do Young Yutes now? By the way, the boys tell me I accidentally said Noel Acton. I do know it's Noel Acton. I promise. I have no idea. If I did that, I wholeheartedly apologize. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they allege. They're throwing around allegations here. I promise you I know it's Noel Acton, and I apologize if I did say Noel Acton. I would say check the tape, but the only chance of that is Brian Powell, and I don't even know if he's listening this morning, so whatever. Noel Acton is going to join us here in like 11 minutes. In the meantime, it was a struggle. It struggled to finish. Carson, why don't you come over? You can come over for this. For this segment, come over to the other, and we can get you on the screen. We'll put you up on put up the 3-shot on the computer. Time for Young Yutes. Young Yutes brought to you today. How about by Glory Days Grill? Glory Wings, Glory Burgers, Glory Ribs, glory for everyone at Glory Days Grill. Summer seasonal menu coming soon, but in the meantime, always great daily specials, nachos, burger on Monday. There's so much happening at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in. So, Carson, what are the Young Yutes talking about? What's first on the list?
All right, let's do this. So, first thing up, the Amarillo Zoo in Amarillo, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's like a relatively big zoo, and they've got this security camera footage that a lot of people have been seeing, and there is this basically this wolf-looking, it basically looks like a wolf walking on 2 legs, and it can be seen on the cameras multiple times, and it walks right past the fences, close to where they keep the animals. And a lot of people are trying to figure out
it's a chupacabra.
What it is, and if it's a new animal that we haven't seen yet, or if it's a guy in a suit, or what it is.
It's 4 feet tall, right?
Yeah, this is what it looks, and it looks like a
I've
person
seen
with
it.
a wolf's head.
I've seen it. It's definitely. I get it. I get why it is that we are so interested in this thing. I completely understand.
It grabbed my attention for sure.
I don't have an answer.
Oh, I don't either.
Because, again, you want to come up with hey, everybody thinks it's this, but this is what it obviously is. For those of you that – I don't even know if this will –
Yeah.
I have no idea if this will work. I don't know if anybody can see that or not.
Why is there
It's
a hippo?
crazy looking, though.
What?
Why is there a hippo in
Next
this?
door? I have no idea whether they've juxtaposed it with a picture of a hippo.
I think
That's not-
I think maybe it was by the hippos, and that's
Oh.
why they. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
It seems like a cartoon character. Like it seems
It really
like
does.
an animal that's come to life. That definitely.
there we go.
I could barely see that here. It looks like a cartoon character walking around. Like it's like the Tasmanian devil, although a little bit taller than the Tasmanian devil. I'm trying to think of who it looks like. It looks like Wile E. Coyote or something like like something like that is what it looks like. And I don't know enough about. I'm sure there's somebody who's an expert who's like, dude, you guys are all stupid. This is what a whatever looks like when it's standing up, or this could be nothing more than somebody playing a prank and left out a cardboard cutout of something, right? Like, I'm sure there's an explanation that's I am not someone who believes in, like when somebody says, oh, the government's confirmed UFOs. Well, like, they're just confirming seeing something. They're not confirming that it's an alien. Like, I'm not someone who believes in extraordinary conspiracy theories, but I've seen the picture, and I promise you I am as confused as you are. You know what it really looks like? It looks like a raccoon head. Like when you see just the face, it looks very raccoonish. The rest of the body, on like a person's body, it looks like a small person wearing a raccoon mask.
Looks like a raccoon with like a mullet, though.
Yeah, it does have something going back down that way. But like just the face alone comes off very raccoonish.
Yes, definitely.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer.
Maybe they'll figure it out. I think they've seen it more than once.
Did you include the elephant in Young Utes this week? It's all the internet's been talking about all week long.
I did not include
The elephant. You know what it is, right? You know what the elephant is, right?
The elephant that killed a woman in India and then went back and trampled on her body at the funeral.
Well, see,
it's all the internet is talking about this week.
I thought it was
it's not cheeky. It's definitely not cheeky.
It's kind of dark.
It's very dark. But it's all the internet is talking about is how petty is this elephant?
Someone tweeted a picture of like the elephant going on the Oprah Winfrey
show. Oh yeah,
100%,
and right?
It's like, and Oprah says, "So why'd you show up to the funeral?"
Right, 100%. I mean, like, that's all the internet is talking about this week is the stupid elephant. All right, number 2.
So number 2, so there's these two guys, and they are like archaeologists, treasure hunters kind of people, and there was this gold deposit that supposedly around the Civil War, a bunch of gold had been left in this one place, and it's in.
Is this what the Young Utes are talking about? They're talking about gold deposits?
No, because
this is supposed to be a reflection of what young people are.
Just wait,
It
turns into a government conspiracy.
Is that what young people are into?
Yes.
Conspiracies.
Do young people love conspiracies?
Yeah. Definitely.
So these two guys went up there to try and find this alleged spot, and the FBI and the government had been looking at this place and digging on it not too long ago, and they found nothing. But there's no record of the government finding anything. But it was empty and dug through, so they went to the government and said, hey, what's going on with this? They said, oh, I can tell you exactly what's went on. We can actually get you video documentation. We have 17 recordings of what's going on, 17 files. They said, okay, great. Show it to us. Boom. The next day, they come back and say, yeah, it's changed now. We only have 4.
I need to know. You need to tell me how I can find this story somewhere.
I can text it to you right now.
This sounds like some nonsense. This just sounds like...
And now these two guys are making a whole bunch of noise alleging that the government is covering this up.
This sounds like pure poppycock.
Well, that's what the Young Utes are into.
I think it's a certain type of Young Ute that is into this.
Conspiracies, all that kind of stuff.
I think a certain type of Young Ute. Yeah, I'm sure the Young Utes are going to NPR to get their news. I'm sure that's the thing that's occurring. Treasure hunters allege the FBI made off with Civil War-era gold and covered it up. I can't imagine spending 5 seconds thinking about this. So they did. They've done far worse things, I promise you. I can't imagine being at all concerned about this whatsoever. The Young Utes, who are the Young Utes that care about this?
I don't know.
Carson does, I guess.
This is what I think this is.
I haven't heard about this.
I found it pretty interesting.
I think this is interesting to Carson, and so he's trying to put it over. I don't think this is broadly something that young people are getting together, like when they hang out and have a house party tonight. Do they still? Is that still thing? Like
it's a slow news week.
Is that what it is? I think Justin Bieber can't feel his face any longer. Like I feel like the Young Yutes care about some things.
That was a little outdated. That was more last week.
Was it? I don't know. I'm not a Young Ute, so I can't speak to it. I just don't sense that this is something that people are all that worked up. Why do you care about this?
I don't. To be honest, I really don't.
Then what is this?
People are talking about it. I thought it was interesting. It's a government conspiracy. So that's like a big attention grab nowadays. You know how many headlines have that in there and trying to grab people's attention?
I'm just searching for the name. People talking about this appear to be all very old people. These do not appear to be young people that are all that into the Dennis and Kem Parada trying to figure out whether or not the FBI.
It's also slightly local. Pennsylvania's like this probably happened somewhere within 2 hours. It's local.
Also, who gets the rights to this?
I have no idea.
I guess the government.
Yeah, I guess.
But that would be my point, right?
Like, also doesn't make much sense that we found gold, it's ours.
Yeah. Well, no, but like whose would it be? Like, is it the government's job to track down the lineage of whoever the gold belonged to from the Civil War?
I guess
we gotta put it up in a museum, right?
I don't know. I don't know how this works.
I wonder if it was anyone's property. If it's anyone's property, maybe it's theirs.
Apparently, this group calls themselves Finders Keepers. It's a treasure hunting company.
It's got to be the cheesiest name.
I think Carson wants to join this group.
I guess the controversy is they believe they led the government to finding the gold, and so I guess
Finders Keepers.
They are literally called Finders Keepers. Maybe they want their part. I just don't. This is the problem. You can talk about it being conspiracy. How do we want this solved?
Carson?
Is there a solution? Is there?
But that would be why I don't think this is all that interesting.
I guess for them to release the tapes. I guess we want to see, because I think they're really alleging that they just pocketed the gold. Like the agents themselves that were doing just pocketed the gold and left.
Okay.
That's a little messed up. No.
I guess, but it's not like, again, they've done, I know this is going to be hard to believe, the government has done far more messed up things.
Well, sure.
Did you hear of the Baltimore Gun Trace Task Force? Did you hear of them?
Well, yeah.
Way more messed up. Have stolen actual I just don't know that this is anybody's property that they stole. I don't know how this is a possession is 9/10 of the law type of situation to me. Who owns I get to go fishing, right? And if I go fishing, whatever I catch is my fish.
Yours, yeah.
But they're not my fish. I don't own the fish. They don't belong to Glenn.
Yeah,
how does this work? If I go somewhere today to a park and I dig up some buried treasure, is it just mine? Do I get to keep it? We all know that if we find somebody's wallet in a park and just decide we're going to keep it, we're stealing. We understand that's stealing because the person whose wallet it is, we know their name is right there. But I don't know how this works if you dig up some treasure. I don't know who it belongs to. I have no idea whether I should be mad about this or not. You know what? It's mine. I get it. You know what? You've changed my mind, Carson. I want the gold.
You want the gold?
Hell with you, FBI. It belongs to me.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
Get it to me. It's mine. I don't understand. Brian Powell says, by the way, I heard this on XM. Sorry. Never mind. He's talking about something else. We'll deal with that later. Next, number 3.
Third thing. Another story about Pennsylvania. 2 people fell into a vat of chocolate over the weekend at the Mars Wrigley plant where they make the chocolate.
I heard about this.
So they call themselves freelancers, but apparently they were going around the factory and they had to cut a hole in the bottom of the tank to get them out, and they pretty much fell into a vat of chocolate.
So it's easy to say something like, well, if I'm going to fall into a vat, I want to fall into a vat of chocolate. This had to be terrifying.
Oh,
man.
sure, because it's liquid chocolate.
Yeah. I mean,
it's probably not. It's probably a little hot. You probably get hot in there. It's hot in the factory to begin with.
I think you're quite fortunate that there wasn't a more tragic end.
Yeah.
To all of this. I think it's very fortunate that there wasn't a greater tragedy involved with this. Now, in the end, again, if you're going to have this happen to you, you'd prefer it to be in a chocolate vat. Although, ironically, I'm not a chocolate. I do not care for chocolate at all.
No chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake?
It's got to be chocolate combined with something. Chocolate by itself, this is a conversation that adults aren't prepared to have. Chocolate by itself is for kindergartners.
Chocolate cake is not good. I'm not a chocolate cake
It's decadent nothingness. There's no the flavor profile is not a good flavor profile. It's for children. It's for people who just want something super. Give me something very sweet immediately. Sweet, 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 sweet immediately. That's what chocolate is for. When you combine chocolate with peanut butter, the way the fine folks at Hershey's did to create Reese's Cups, you come up with something that actually
now you're on to
it has some value. Now, I don't eat that any longer. It's out of my life. But trust me, in my day, I put down about 1 billion Reese's Cups.
I just had one yesterday.
Reese's,
delicious.
the chocolate peanut butter combination, perfection. Chocolate by itself, garbage. Garbage. Offers nothing to the world. Offers zero redeemable quality about chocolate by itself. This would be pure hell for me. I, in this situation, would have wished for the sweet escape of death at that point. I would have said, I'm not another second in this chocolate vat.
I also want to know why there's these big open vats of chocolate that you can just fall.
I mean, I don't really know how factor. I mean, it might be that's the only way that you go about doing this. I'm not really sure, but yes, they should probably reconsider.
The fact that you can just fall into a big vat of chocolate, that's a little concern.
You hear stories about other tragic factory accidents, and you're like, I don't know, man. Like I hope I never. I'm glad I've never had to work in those situations. Yeah. That's not an okay.
There's a lot of hot water and high pressure pipes.
When you hear the words "cooked to death," you think to yourself, "That's it. That's the worst. The absolute worst." That is. I don't even know how we wash our hands of this. I don't know how we move on from this subject.
Yeah,
all right,
we're taking a turn.
Other than I'm still convinced that none of the Young Yutes actually care about a couple. I think these. I don't think you gave me Young Yutes stories. I think you just gave me stories that were trending or people were talking about on the internet. I wanted to be things. It was a
slow week for the. It was a slow week for the Young Yutes.
All right. Thank you, Carson.
Yes, thank you.
That's Young Yutes for the week from our friend Carson. We're into hour number 2 of the program. Today's show also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience, technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. So the Stanley Cup Final is underway with Colorado winning a thriller last night in overtime, 4-3 over Tampa. Burakovsky. I was settled in. I was ready for like a 3 overtime, being there all night, and it took about all of 80 seconds to get a winner in Game 1. But with that going on, I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to talk about a really wonderful local story and someone who I think is truly remarkable, so much so that this person was honored this year with the NHL's Willie O'Ree Community Award. And he has done so many incredible things for young people in our community to get them plugged in athletically. You've probably heard about the Baltimore Banners, but there's so much more to know about Noel Acton, who joins us now here on GCR. Noel, it's Glenn. It's so great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us. Congratulations on the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn. I really appreciate that. And love being on the show and being able to talk about all the things we've done with these guys and are continuing to do with these guys.
No, let's go back before we get to the Banners. Just tell me your background with hockey and wanting how Tender Bridge came about, how you became someone that wanted to make hockey more of a part of the community for young people.
Well, here's the thing. Hockey happened by accident.
Okay.
I had done some pond skating as a kid, but never really gotten into hockey as a game. But I went to ended up with a friend who had a son who was playing hockey at the Patterson Stars down the ice rink at Patterson Park. And he ended up taking his son and a couple other kids there. And there were 8 kids that wanted to go also and watch. So I picked them up and we took them out to watch. And of course, they all said, "Can we play?" So Ed and I signed them all up, and we ended up with a whole 12 kids playing ice hockey that year. And these were all inner city kids from East Baltimore, and almost all of them from one block. And having picked them up on that block, I knew what their home situation was. So I would take them out to Fort McHenry, Inner Harbor, Railroad Museum, just do something after hockey. And it just went from there to hockey was over, they wanted to play baseball. Then they wanted to play football. And then back to hockey. So it became a year-round cycle where I was involved with the same kids year-round. And as time went on, we got more and more coaches, coach mentors joining us. And sticking with that year-round thing is important for the kids. When kids growing up will, connect with a coach, and then the season's over and the coach is gone. They'll connect with a teacher, and then next year they've got a new teacher. And we've been working with some of our kids that are now like 12. We've worked with them for like 10, 12 years.
Wow.
So, and the other essential part of our program is these kids feel safe playing hockey with us. They feel comfortable because they know the other kids. They've grown to become a family. And a lot of these kids are missing that family feeling in their home situations.
Noel Acton. Sorry, no. I didn't mean to step on you there.
Well, I will go on forever if you don't. So go ask me some questions.
It's a wonderful story. It's worth going on about. Seeing the unspoken part being we're talking about kids who likely would not be exposed to hockey, right? Otherwise, these are, as you mentioned, inner city kids.
Yeah, these kids. You go down the street and you say you want to play hockey, and they give you this dumb look. What's that?
Right.
Yeah. But here's the thing. This summer we had a street hockey program, and I took some pictures of kids playing street hockey and showed them. So, they said, oh yeah. So they came around, and the first Sunday we had like 12 kids, and the next Sunday they all brought some friends, and it just kept growing. And we ended up with like 50 kids.
Wow.
Over the summer. And one of the things that I really like about hockey is, especially for inner city kids, is that you don't have to be huge, muscular, 220 pound to play football. You don't have to be 6'6" to play basketball. You can be short, you can be fat, you can be skinny, and everybody does equally well. And I think that's one of the real appeals for these kids is that anybody can play hockey.
No, that's well said.
As opposed to having physical requirements for other sports.
You got to be able to skate, and I've never been good at that, Noel. So it was never my. It really did limit my ability in order to be able to succeed at hockey. Noel Acton is with us.
Hey, Glenn, the coolest thing is watching these street kids go out on the ice for the first time. They do not worry about falling down.
Wow.
There's nobody at home that says, "Oh, be careful, you might fall down." They're used to playing, football in the streets, and they get out on the ice. They just want to chase the puck and have fun, and they pick up skating really, really fast. So it's. They say, well, I can't skate. We'll teach you in 5 minutes. And that's really all it takes, because once they start in the hockey, they're focusing on the puck and doing things, and not on, I might fall down. And they have full gear on, so even when they do fall down, they say, "Oh, that's a nerd." So
yeah, right. We're good. Yeah, we're good. We can do this. No doubt.
And they just charge ahead full speed all the time. It's really fun to watch them.
Noel Acton is with us. Noel, do you find yourself and I don't know where we are time wise. Do you see kids with the Banners who are starting to think about the possibility of hockey as part of their future? Do you see kids who say, maybe I could go do this. Maybe I could get a scholarship playing hockey. Maybe hockey can be something.
These guys, they've been playing for years, but they only get to practice like once or twice a week. The senior guys get to practice twice a week. but that's not anything close to what
you would need, right?
That are, have a family that can support them, and they're playing hockey 4 and 5 times a week. So they wouldn't play hockey. We have one boy, believe it or not, he graduated from high school this spring and got accepted to Morgan. Perfect school for him. Except he didn't want to go because they don't have a hockey team. And boy, did we yell at him for that. You need to go anyhow.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome. I can imagine that joy, right? Like the joy that they have, the love that they experience for the sport,
I mean,
right?
it just means everything in the world to them. And it's, very much the sense that they all want to be together. And that's true of all hockey programs. And this past weekend, we had a scrimmage game with the Philly Flyers.
Yep.
Flyer Warriors. And these are guys that are military veterans with mostly PTSD guys. And they have that same sense of family and support that hockey has brought to their organization. And they just kind of related to our kids so much because inner city kids have a lot of PTSD issues from the shootings and things that go on in their community.
Which of course we is terrifying, but I completely understand that. Noel, what the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award, right? I know when you started this, that wasn't what this is about, right?
Yeah.
But that people recognize, cared enough to start a campaign and to push for you to receive this, and what it means now for the attention that the program has got, and I'm sure maybe a few more donations that come in because of it. Can you put into words what that means to you?
The word is out. Things have been going really well as far as support and donations. One of my personal things in which I'm going to work with NHL on is they really like our program and have mentioned that they would love to have that started in every NHL city.
Wow.
So, and one of the things I'm doing is looking at not for us to be involved in that, but to do kind of a blueprint for other nonprofits to be able to do that with inner city kids.
Oh, it's remarkable. What a remarkable story that would be to see this tender.
And one of the things for Baltimore is we did the street hockey program at Elwood Park, which is a little small community park in East Baltimore with one basketball court, which we use for the street hockey. And there's probably 50 or 100 of those little basketball courts all over the city. And each one of those could, attract 50 kids. We just need somebody to get organized and make use of this. The Washington Capitals donated all the street hockey gear that we need.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. If somebody wanted to support Tenderbridge and support the Banners, I know you guys have at Be More Banners on Twitter is your Twitter account. Is that the best place for people to go to find out more?
Probably our website is good. Twitter is good. Facebook is good. It's the Tenderbridge on Facebook and tenderbridge.com on the internet for our webpage.
I know the tenderbridge.org as well. Definitely work. The tenderbridge.org is definitely, you can get there that way. And you can get your own Baltimore Banners sweater, which is awesome. Those look super sharp.
That's the thing that's going on right now. Yeah.
That's very cool. If you want to get a Baltimore Banners, they look. I'm gonna hold them up for everybody. That looks dope. That is an awesome looking sweater that you can get.
Oh, that was designed by Men's League Sweaters, and believe it or not, they donated the entire team's uniforms.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool.
It was so nice. And you should have seen the first day. We got them in, and we had a away game, and we loaded, put them all on hangers and hung them up for the guys in the locker room. And to see these kids, inner city kids, who've been using used equipment, rank tag jerseys, come in and get these brand new, absolutely fantastic looking jerseys.
No.
So, like a real professional team, the expressions on these kids' faces was just.
No, I know. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, Noel. No, before I let you go, you got a feel for how the final plays out? Do you think Colorado is just going to be able to overwhelm Tampa the rest of the way?
No, it's going to be. Well, I'm not sure who's going to win. Not making any guesses, but the NHL has invited me down with a guest to do a little TV show on Tuesday night and then stay over for the finals. And I told them I had a real dilemma. There are two boys that are, really into this. And I could only take one of them down. So I said, can you make arrangements and we'll pay for the extra person? And she said, the girl at NHL said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's awesome, Noel. That's so cool. That's so cool.
It's everything has been going like that. Just everybody's just so happy to help. It's just amazing.
We love that. We love that. Noel Acton, love everything about what it is that you and the Tender Bridge does, and so happy for you all to receive this recognition and the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. Remarkable thing. Thank you, not just for taking the time for us this morning, but thank you for your commitment to the young people in our community and what you've done to change lives, my friend. Grateful
Glenn,
for that.
Great to talk to you. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Noel Acton, NHL's Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award, has done unbelievable things for our community. Remarkable story and really wonderful spending some time with him this morning. And that's really cool that he's going to be headed down to the Stanley Cup Final with a couple of boys from the program. That's an awesome thing. What a life-changing experience that will be for those young men to get the opportunity to go see a Stanley Cup Final live in person. It's overwhelming. Love the Baltimore Banners. I know the Ravens just had them out recently at one of the OTAs, had the guys come out to the facility and tour it, and they got to sit down with Eric DaCosta, and that was really cool. So remarkable things they're doing. Love to shine a little bit of light on that as here we are in the midst of the Stanley Cup Final. All right. New print issue of Press Box is available right now. John Harbaugh's on the cover. It's our Salute to Coaches issue, our first ever coaches issue. We celebrate John Harbaugh as he goes into his 15th season. Ken Niumatalolo from Navy going into his 15th season. Also milestones for UMBC's Pete Caringi and Maryland's Sasho Sarovsky and Missy Maharg. Mount St. Joe's Pat Clatchy, Poly's Kendall Pierce. And we also recognize recently retired Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckrell and Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker. That print issue available every Royal Farm store in the area, hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. We needed to do this at some point this week. We always do an MLB draft segment on the show every week, and I screwed this up. I didn't time it well. Most of the MLB draft community is out in San Diego for the draft combine that's going on right now. So I really appreciate our buddy Nathan Ruiz, who, of course, covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun, but recently wrote something that was very draft-centric for the Baltimore Orioles. So he's going to talk some draft with us here today on GCR. Nathan, it's Glenn. Always good to catch up. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, sure thing, Glenn. Glad to be here.
I'm sorry you didn't get the invite to San Diego, though. I'm sorry that I assure you I would rather be there right now.
Yeah,
hanging
were
out.
you responsible for that? Are
Yeah.
you the one who was responsible for organizing that?
I screwed up, man. I should have put in the request to go do the show from the. I think that's what everybody's asking for, by the way. Demand for MLB Draft Combine coverage was over. I really screwed up not coordinating doing the show out in San Diego for a few days. Nathan, let me start here, right? Do you agree with the consensus at this point that Drew Jones has individually separated himself as the top guy, or do you believe it's Jones and Holiday, and it's not as certain that Jones is definitely, whatever the Orioles do, the singular top prospect in the draft?
I think it's kind of indicative of the class itself in a lot of ways, that as we see these mock drafts for what the Orioles might do, that there's been 5 or 6 different names attached to them. And obviously part of that is this process. You want to make sure that you're getting the right player. Part of it is what we've come to see the Orioles do, where they maybe don't take the expected player, and instead they kind of move some money around, so to speak, in terms of manipulating that bonus pool to make sure they're getting not just the best player, but the best draft class they can. So I think that the reason that we've seen so many different names linked to the Orioles is because people aren't sure, frankly, what they're going to do, and they like it that way. They're not going to make a decision really until the days or the minutes leading up to having to make that 1-1 selection. So I think in this particular case, you mentioned Drew Jones, who is kind of regarded as this consensus top player in the class, but I don't know if necessarily has the carry that you look back at 2019 when they last had the number 1 pick. They took Adley Rutschman because he was kind of considered the number 1 guy, so they took the number 1 guy. But you look at 2020, Heston Kjerstad wasn't considered the number 2 player in the class. And you look at what else they were able to get in that draft. Jordan Westburg's having a great season.
Kobe Mayo, of course. Yeah.
Right. Kobe Mayo, Hudson Haskins doing really well in Bowie. Carter Baumler's come back from Tommy John and is pitching really well. But just imagine if it was just Heston Kjerstad in that draft class and how differently we would maybe view that group if it was built around one player instead of built around getting the best group of players. And so that's generally what their draft strategy is. You look at, the 2019 draft. It's not just about Adley. We see what Gunnar Henderson's done. Kyle Stowers got to come up and make his debut this week. So there's other factors in all of these things. And unfortunately, the way that the structure of it is, it's not necessarily always just take the best available player. But there's nothing that says the Orioles won't do that.
So it's an interesting thought, Nathan, because I'll discuss this with folks who really know the draft, and I'll say I'm okay with listening to the other strategy of, hey, if there are 6 guys and we all think they're about similar, but we can get 1 for less money, and that can allow us to sign somebody else and maybe add a pitcher later on in the draft. That sounds good in theory, but ultimately, is there someone that's so good that if you don't take them, we're going to be thinking about that for 20 years to come? You compare to 2020, there were a lot of people that were saying that about Austin Martin. Well, that so far has not proven to be the case, right? And I get it. It's still very early on. I'm not suggesting that Austin Martin won't still turn out to be a really good baseball player. And so I try to present the question that way. If the Orioles were to do this and go Brooks Lee and save some money, would they legitimately end up ruining the fact that they had the chance to get Drew Jones and didn't? And I feel like it's been about 60-40, the responses that I've gotten back, right? Like there's 60% of people that say, yeah, you don't screw this up. Drew Jones is that type of talent. And then 40% who say, he's good, but he's not Alex Rodriguez good. Like he's not that good. And that's the part, like I feel like that has to matter when a team makes a decision like this and people describe it as getting cute, but doing something else. Are you passing on this ungodly talent that could truly change your franchise in the process?
Yeah, and I think that becomes an internal debate. I mean, you go back to, I believe it was the 2013 draft, Mark Appel, Mike Elias was in charge of the Astros draft, and Mark Appel was kind of the consensus number 1 guy, and they take him, and the number 2 pick is Chris Bryant, who's obviously gone on to have a really great career, won a World Series, won a Rookie of the Year, won an MVP, and Mark Appel has yet to reach the major league. So there's obviously, like you mentioned, it's still early. If you look back at the 2020 draft and the Austin Martin, Heston Kjerstad situation, these things are hard. And Mike Elias said that back in 2019 before they made a pick. Like he knows from experience that 1-1 picks don't always pan out, and that's the risk of this. Like, but if you take, the player who I think, to your point, like is most assured or viewed the most as having a path to longevity, a path to success, you're probably best serving yourself. But at the same time, if you're able to grab a player whose path is maybe slightly less so and boost and get 4 other players whose paths are, I'm using the word path a lot, but if you're able to create a situation where, again, you're getting the best group of players, you're adding the biggest influx of overall talent instead of just adding, if you're able to add a number 50 prospect and a number 75 prospect versus just adding a number 25 prospect, you're maybe a little better served in the long run, especially because, who knows how these things end up working out in the long run. I think they're going to take the player who they view as the best and as the best fit for them, as the best person who's going to allow them to formulate the draft pool. I mean, in 2019, that was Adley Rutschman. In 2020, they really believed in Heston Kjerstad. I know that it came off as a leap, what they ended up doing in the end, but they thought if that 2020 college baseball season hadn't gotten cut short, that he would have been one of the best players in baseball and maybe would have played himself up to being a number 2, a number 3, that level of pick. And unfortunately, the season just got cut short and they didn't get to see that actually happen. And then you look at Colton Cowser last year, and they really believed that he was, one of the top college hitters, and that was a national opinion as well. So they have a history of taking the player who they feel is the best. And obviously sometimes there is the financial element getting mixed into that. But at the end of the day, they're going to take the player who they feel is the best fit for them. And whether that's Drew Jones or Jackson Holiday or Brooks Lee or Tamar Johnson or Elijah Green or even someone else who's maybe a little farther down rankings right now, they're going to take the player that they believe in most, and they're going to have a justification for it, and they're going to add other talent in other areas throughout the draft, and they're going to try to continue to do kind of this process, as we've seen really without everything they've done. They're going to do it their way, and to this point, if you look at their prospect pool and what they've built, it seems to have worked, but it's just a matter of obviously that translating to the major leagues at some point.
He is Nathan Ruiz. He covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. We're talking draft. Nathan, the one thing we haven't seen since Mike Elias has been here is a high school player with the Orioles' first pick, right? They've gone specifically college bats. Do we work under the assumption that, they don't do it until they do? Do we have to file that away? Or do you think it matters that they haven't taken a high school bat as we try to figure out what they might do this year?
Yeah, I think it's kind of along the same lines of, what the Orioles are going to do financially. It's kind of a similar talking point. I think that until we see something different, to your point, we're going to think, we're just going to analyze so much about the past 3 years and how they've operated. But it's not like there's a full hesitancy to draft high school players. I mean, we saw them draft Gunnar Henderson, drafted Kobe Mayo, drafted Carter Baumler, Darrell Hernandez. So there's a history there of them using early picks. It's just they didn't happen to be at the top of their board when the pick came up. And I think they would have very happily taken Bobby Witt Jr. in 2019 if Adley Rutschman hadn't been available to them. So I don't think there's necessarily a hesitancy there. There's obviously a lot more data available to them when it comes to college hitters, and I think that's why we've seen them lean so much into that group when you look at Heston Kjerstad and Colton Cowser mixed into that as well. And that might end up being the thing that swings things in Brooks Lee's favor. We don't know that yet until we see it happen, but obviously this draft class is organized a little differently where a lot of the top talent is high school position players. Obviously the players that we've talked about to this point, really everyone but Brooks Lee is a high school position player. And so it's just a matter of which of that group of players they like more and which one they fall to. And I think at the end of the day, it's less about high school versus college. It's just more about the information they have available to them and which player they like more.
And obviously, once upon a time, Mike Elias, he's credited with Carlos Correa, right? Who was not the consensus number 1 overall guy, but was a high school player and worked out okay for the Astros for a few years to come. Is there anything that would surprise you at this point? Do you have any sort of, Nathan, sense of it's got to come from this group of 5 guys? There's no way. We bring up Kjerstad. Kjerstad was, until 24 hours beforehand, maybe 48 hours, when I had someone drop me kind of a hint about Kjerstad, and I said, I need to get in touch with this guy, it was completely off the radar. Do you think that they've zeroed in? Do you think there's any weird world in which, hey, nobody's really talking about so-and-so, but it could still end up being that guy?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I think the only thing that maybe would surprise me would be any of the pitchers, because most of the pitchers right now are grouped in the teens. They're high school pitchers, which historically, there's some risk there. A high school right-hander has never gone number 1 overall, so I don't think we're necessarily going to see that. That would surprise me. But in terms of the group, we talked earlier about how neither of us are unfortunately in San Diego. And so the draft combine's happening right now. Players are making impressions, and they can move up draft boards really quickly, I think, in that sense. So there's still, a month left until they have to make this decision. We've seen historically, like you mentioned with Kerstad, that did not pop up until basically right before the draft as a guy who is getting linked to the Orioles. And that was intentional. That was them saying, we don't want to signal anything to anyone else that we're thinking of making a move on this guy, that he's our guy, that he's the one we've circled. And so they might feel that same way. They might be seeing these stories that people are writing that are linking them to certain players and thinking, oh, the guy who's 9th in this mock draft, that's our guy. And that might be the way they feel. They don't feel that way because he's 9th, but that's just, the guy they've targeted, the guy they like, the guy that financially makes sense to them and as a player makes sense to them. So I don't know that anything would surprise me. I think, obviously the 2020 pick was pretty out of left field, so to speak, in terms of, like you mentioned, it just kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't a name they were linked to a ton. Obviously, Austin Martin was kind of viewed as almost a consensus number 2 behind Torkelson.
Yep.
And so when that doesn't happen, I think that was a surprise. But, Kauser was a guy who made sense for them. Obviously, Adley was pretty forecasted as well. But I think whatever they do is not going to be as much of a surprise, just given the history and looking back at 2020.
All right, what do they can they really let Bruce Zimmerman go out there again in 5 days, or do they have to do something there?
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate and strange given how well he started the season.
Right.
The great story of the guy from the Baltimore area getting to start the home opener, pitching so well. Obviously, he's searching for things right now. Obviously, there's some mechanical things that might be partner Andy Koska has written about in terms of him trying to hide, pitch tipping, and his changeup was such a good pitch for him early on, and that's kind of faded away. His fastball was hit tremendously hard last year, and we're seeing that again. So obviously some issues there. And, I think one byproduct of the Grayson Rodriguez injury that maybe isn't getting talked about enough is the fact that they had, let's say 100, 120 innings circled for him. Now those 100, 120 innings have to go to someone else. And so I think you're going to see them be a lot more hard-pressed to make a tough decision like that with anyone. If Tyler Wells goes out and has, 6 straight poor outings, or Jordan Lyles is probably a different situation. But if these guys are going out there and struggling, it's a matter of, hey, we don't really have
who's going to pitch
the option that we maybe once thought we had to replace them. So it's an unfortunate situation. Bruce and Chris Holt and Darren Holmes are all working to try to figure something out, because we've seen he can be effective. We saw it early in the season. It's just a matter of getting back to that.
Yeah, I mean, you could put Spencer Watkins back in for the sake of doing it, right? But what do you think the results are going to be there? There's no world in which DL Hall appears to be ready for that. There's just not. Unfortunately, this is the problem, right? They just don't have the pitching. All right, Nathan Ruiz. I know on Twitter, everybody can give you a follow at Nathan S. Ruiz, and of course the Baltimore Sun and BaltimoreSun.com. How about we pitch you and I doing like a crossover event at the MLB Draft Combine next year, so we make the trip out to San Diego? How about we work on that now?
Yeah, I don't know that financially that's going to work out on the Baltimore Sun's end, but I'm happy to put in a budget for it and see where we get.
All right, let's at least try. Let's at least run it up the flagpole and see if we can.
Right, let's make the effort. Let's make the effort for sure.
Hey man, really appreciate you taking the time for us. Let's do it again soon. All right.
Yeah, sounds good, Gunn. Thanks so much.
Nathan Ruiz checking in with us here on GCR, talking a little MLB draft for this week's draft segment. Seriously, I screwed that up big time, man. I'd be in San Diego right now, heading out in the Coronado Island and wandering over to Mission Beach. Maybe going over to Cliffs and Point Loma. I love San Diego. It's my third favorite American city. New Orleans, Baltimore, San Diego. You guys just have to wonder what order I have New Orleans and Baltimore in, because I won't.
Well, you said New Orleans first.
Yeah, but that's just naming cities. I wasn't confirming it was in that order. You just have to wonder. My third. What, Carson? Yes, Carson.
Hanging out with Griffin and I isn't as good as being in San Diego?
No. I don't know why that's a difficult question to answer. Like, you think I'm afraid of I'm going to offend you? No, it's not. I would rather be in San Diego. I don't know if you've heard. It's San Diego. It's a lovely place. We come back in, we'll get a tidbit tubular, and then it'll be Weekend at Bookies. That's on the way. It is Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Damn.
Keith Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le
champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Hey, B More. The Orioles 2022 Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite kicks off Friday, June 17th with Flo Rida. After the O's take on the Tampa Bay Rays, stay for the post-game concert and watch Flo Rida perform live from the infield. The concert is free to all fans who attend the game, with the option to add special on-field access. With hit singles like My House and his latest single, Wait, what better way to watch Flo Rida perform live at Camden Yards on June 17th? Buy tickets now at Orioles.com/music.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and it's our very first Salute the Coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season. Inside, tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niumatalolo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Karinji, Maryland soccer coach Sasho Sorovsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Pierce. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl, with stories from the players who these coaches have impacted most over the years. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
To follow the show on Instagram, it's just Glenn Clark Radio. And to follow the show on OnlyFans, wait, I don't think you're supposed to know about that one. Any hoodle. Take it away, boys.
Just a couple of minutes. Simply the Bets will be brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. We do it every other Thursday. Not Simply the Bets. Simply the Bets is Tuesday. Weekend at Bookies is every... I knew that. I was just testing you, really, Griffin, is what happened there.
Simply the Bets.
Thank you. Well done. That's the reason why we called it that. You've determined it. Well, we can't get anything past you. That's what I know. That's why we call Griffin the I-Team around here. He is our investigative reporter and figured out why it is we named the show Simply the Bets. Weekend at Bookies. Do you know why we call it Weekend at Bookies?
Because you're talking about the weekend slate of everything that's going on.
Just realize how young you are.
Weekend.
Do you have any idea?
None.
Oh,
whatsoever.
Got another question from Brian Powell. Brian Powell wants to know if either of you could name the artist responsible for the smash hit song Parents Just Don't Understand. By the way, I told him that there was no chance. I said 0 chance that happens.
Let's see. How's the song go?
Oh, God.
What year did the song come out?
Yeah.
No, I don't know that you were alive. That's not the point is.
Well, yeah, but it might.
It's a very popular. No, you definitely weren't alive. I don't even know why.
Yeah,
it was
the Beastie Boys.
You know what? You're not. I'm going to say this. You're not exactly close, but you're so much closer than I could have possibly imagined you being.
Okay.
Like,
I'll take that.
Yeah. Guess?
The The Beach Boys.
Okay, there you go. Nailed it. That's the one. You nailed it. You nailed it. Oh, God. One, Weekend at Bookies is a play on a very popular film called Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Rings a bell.
No chance you've seen. There's zero
No,
chance you've seen
no,
Weekend at
never
Bernie's.
come to me
Why are we
Yeah,
even
neither have I.
pretending like that's the case? That's the play there. Like Simply the Bets is the play on Simply the Best. Weekend at Bookies is the play on Weekend at Bernie's. Parents just don't understand is from the legendary Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. The Fresh Prince being Will Smith. Yeah, they were. All right, so anyway, moving on. Put that up on TikTok. Hi, it's time to get a tidbit. Oh, yeah, Weekend at Bookies in 3 minutes, whatever it's going to be when we finish this. We'll do Weekend at Bookies next. We do it every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And Simply the Bets every Tuesday at 11:40 a.m. What do you know? Okay. You know what? Remind me next week. We're doing a How Young Are You? We did this with Bobby Trossett once when he was in studio. We're going to do a How Young Are You, How Old Are You battle. I want you to prepare like 10 general knowledge questions that you think all young people, I mean like pop culture types of things that all young people could answer. Both of you prepare 5. I'll prepare 10 that I think young people should know, even if this is like me. I assure you, I was not alive when the Beatles were a thing. But I knew every song Paul McCartney was playing the other night when I went to see the show. The thing we like to say, well, I'm young, that's not good enough. There's things that we should know that go past our own age range. Trust me, Brooks Robinson was not playing baseball by the time I was born, but I know an awful lot of things about Brooks Robinson. We should do better. So we're gonna do a How Young Are You, How Old Are You thing next Thursday. Are you in next Thursday, Carson?
I'll be in next week. I don't know. I think I have work.
All right, we'll figure it out. One of these days.
We'll figure it out.
One of these days. Tidbit and Tubular brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. We'll tell you more about that when we get into Weekend at Bookies. What you got for tidbits?
All right, so I actually had a pretty long one, but since we're running
Tell me
down.
what you got.
All right, well, I'm going to go with my reserve one because is Stan going to be here tomorrow?
I believe so, yeah.
All right, cool. Then I'll save that one
The
for tomorrow.
Orioles are
That's a good
giving
one.
away a soccer jersey.
Let's go.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe in
the World Cup.
Maybe in celebration of the World Cup. That, like, by the way, why would you announce this now and not wait until like after the World Cup is announced later tonight?
So
a Birdland FC soccer jersey.
Wow, yeah, that is.
I don't know if it's
the big old
but I don't-
Pepsi logo.
But I don't know
on
if it's
there.
like a real kit or if it's more like a
Probably gonna be very
a
thin.
T-shirt that
Yeah.
looks
Okay, so
it does look cool though. No doubt about that. It looks cool. Go ahead.
I want to talk. So the leadoff hitter for the Blue Jays, George Springer, definitely probably one of the best leadoff hitters in the game right now. Would you say?
Okay.
So I wanted to look at leadoff home run leaders. George Springer currently has 50, and so all time on leadoff home run leaders, that puts him at 4th.
Okay.
So I would like to know, can you name the top 6, including Springer?
Certainly Ricky Henderson.
There you go. He is number 1. He has 81 home runs in the leadoff spot.
I'll guess. I'll guess Brady.
leading off.
I'll guess Brady Anderson.
No, not Brady Anderson.
It's a little surprising.
Yeah, it really is. Because he hit 50 one year.
Like leading off the game is one.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Yeah,
it's just
Yeah.
Biggio.
There you go. Yep. Craig Biggio has 53. He is ahead of Springer right now, so Springer will likely catch him at some point. He's 3rd. So you have 1, 3, and 4.
Altuve?
No, not Jose Altuve.
I mean, I don't even know if he was hitting lead because like leadoff hitters kind of went away after a certain point. Oh man, Ichiro.
Nope, not Ichiro.
I'm gonna just because of how long
they're
he
pretty
played,
tough. Go
I'm gonna
ahead.
guess Jeter just because of how long he
not
played.
Jeter.
He wasn't really
He
a
wasn't really
leadoff
a power hitter,
but he wasn't
still,
really a leadoff
just the
hitter.
amount
That's the problem. He wasn't really.
Later off in his career, he hit leadoff sometimes.
Let's see. Let me think of it.
Jimmy Rollins.
No, not Jimmy Rollins. Good guess though. Oh, they've all
Joe
played
Morgan?
in the
Is
last
Joe
like
Morgan
20
on this?
years. No, not Joe Morgan.
All played in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That's when leadoff hitters died. So these are just random guys that were stuck in this top spot
I
of the
guess
lineup.
so.
Great. This will be super easy to get. All right, wait, it's 11:46. You got to give me give me something else.
I think they all played for the Tigers. All 3 of them played for the Tigers at one point.
3 of them played. Granderson, Curtis Granderson.
There you go. Yep, he is number 6, 47. Another Tiger.
Another Tiger. Another Tiger.
Was Austin Jackson, did he bat leadoff?
Oh, that is a good guess. I don't think he hit that many home runs.
No, he didn't hit many home runs.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
Not
home
Austin
runs he did,
Jackson.
I think he did.
He was a
bat
leadoff hitter. You're right about that. Tigers.
Infielder for the Tigers over the last decade and a half.
Kinsler?
There you go. Ian Kinsler hit 48
I could not have told you that he was a leadoff hitter, though. I could not have told you that. All right, who's just tell me who the other
And then Alfonso Soriano.
Oh.
Soriano? Did he play for the Tigers?
No, he never played for the Tigers. I don't know why I thought he did.
Never thought he played for the Tigers.
Chicago. He played for Chicago for a little bit.
Cubs,
All right.
Midwest.
All right. Here's what's coming up. Totally tubular. Orioles, Blue Jays, 3 o'clock on Masson 2. Tyler Wells and Kevin Gausman. Masson, Phillies, Nationals at 7. MLB Network, Rays, Yankees at 7. Angels, Mariners at 10. U.S. Open coverage right now on USA. It moves over to NBC at 2. ABC for Game 6 tonight at 9 o'clock. Warriors, Celtics in the NBA Finals. The World Cup host city announcement tonight at 5 on Fox Sports 1. Get to Abbey Burger, celebrate with the folks from the host committee. That would mean a lot to them. Monumental Network, Washington Mystics, New York Liberty at 7. Some wrestling today as well. Anything non-sports-wise that stands out?
All right, so Tom Hanks is on Colbert. Not a huge fan.
Elvis. He's promoting Elvis. You're not a huge fan of Tom Hanks?
Well, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the late.
Do you hate America? Do you hate
I'm just saying.
puppies?
I'm just mentioning Tom Hanks is out there.
Like, when somebody thinks,
but I'm saying
I always love it when somebody's like,
I
don't like Tom Hanks, like, because you don't like acting. Like, it's just you're such a hipster douche. When
he's the bottom of the highlights. So that's why I'm saying him first. That's why I was like Tom Hanks. I'm trying to build up.
Quickly, we got to go.
Let's see. The Old Man series premiere on FX with Jeff Bridges. That looks kind of interesting. I don't know. Snoop Dogg has a comedy special coming out on Netflix.
There's no chance that's good.
But the big thing, you talk about timing, working out tonight for, right around once we hit halftime in Game 6, new episode of Impractical Jokers on at 10 on True TV.
Not my thing.
That
no
is
Joe, right?
Yeah, no Joe. So it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be Jillian Bell is going to be on.
People love that show. It has never been my thing.
Oh, I love that show.
Watch Jackass.
It's in my top
favorite.
5 shows.
It's probably my number one. I grew up watching.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to keep them to myself right now. Like, I would like the show. I think the guys are all nice guys. I think they might be humorous. It's all so obviously fake.
I don't think so.
No, I know. And not only that, not only do I think so, I know so. It's been confirmed. There's a reason why, like in the heyday of Jackass, they had to blur out a lot of people's faces and things along those lines because they were legitimately pulling pranks. This is scripted. This is a scripted show that they present to you as...
I'm not going to let you crush my dreams.
And it doesn't mean that they're not funny people. Like, I think they're funny people, and I think it's all very pleasant. It's just... It's not for me. I don't want to... Boy, I'm going after the Impractical Jokers, and they're like some of the most powerful and wealthy people on the planet, so I want to ease up on all that. Maybe don't put that one on TikTok. All right.
That one's going away.
Carson, what's your Twitter?
Just at Carson Ware.
Right,
Ware's got
with an I.
W-A-I-R.
Well, everybody would think it would have an A.
Like,
it's not. I mean, I guess.
Believe it or not.
Hang on a second. I take that back. Where could be W-H-E-R-E. So I get. You know what? I'll take that back.
Believe it or not, my last name's got an A in it.
Jesus.
A and an I.
All right. Nice try. Thanks today to Nathan Ruiz. Thanks also to Stephanie Reddy as well as Noel Acton. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Heston Kjerstad is scheduled to join us tomorrow. Are we doing Norfolk?
Yes, we are doing Norfolk.
We are doing the Jordan Westberg. Jordan Westberg's joining us tomorrow. Stan the Fan will be in studio with us tomorrow, and stuff and things, perhaps some reaction related to the World Cup announcement, and there was something else that we were working on for tomorrow. Might end up being a very busy day tomorrow. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, the Charm City Match, Grade 8's Memorabilia, FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Thanks to Ryan at RexPex Ryan. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if Carson gets around to putting more things on TikTok at some point. I hope.
Computer issues, right?
I hope that's the case. At Glenn Clark Radio on all three. Have a great Thursday night. Go Birds. Go Baltimore? I guess that's what we say about that. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. When we come back in, it'll be Weekend at Bookies. That's next.